So I want to ask you, have you done a deep dive on somebody who was very good and you learned a lot about the game through doing that? Or was it just, especially for this competition, or was it just like this would be like the spot to do it? Or I've done such things, but I've learned some things about the game and mostly just for countering. I'm wondering, was that the case for you? Did you learn something deep when you did this sort of thing?
Definitely the first player I had that experience with was Stefan. Because as I was coming up, I was always so fascinated by his hands. But yeah, there's been lots of players over the years who, I think especially playing heads up, every time I've got to a point where I've had enough volume against one guy that I start really trying to work out how they think, it has this effect where you're not just studying for this one person, because the next time you play someone, you'll notice elements of their game and say, oh, okay, I already know the counter to this. Yeah, like there was this guy I was playing heads up a bunch. His name's like Daniel Soltis.
I don't know this.
But yeah, he's like an MTT reg, but he was just playing me some 5K, and he has this really, really aggressive style. Like every single person talks about him as the guy with the most out of line stats, but he still somehow manages to win.
Is that Barack?
No.
Because that's a bit of a mystery. Also, I mean, I played against Barack, and I swear to God, yeah, he's giving me quite some trouble. Clearly, he's doing some smart things. I can see it.
Yeah.
I don't want to. Well, I can go over it a little bit. I think he's just shifting some things in his range to fuck with, especially some population things, and just to be balanced overall and have modest aggression, some spots. But okay, this Daniel
Brack's,
huh?
Yeah, but Brack is he has a very like unique ability to get in someone's head and to understand exactly how they think and which spots they like or which spots they don't like. And yeah, it just how they're going to perceive everything he's doing. Like he understands all of those dynamics on such a high level, very intuitively, that it can feel a bit like chasing shadows playing him.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, what about this Daniel guy?
Yes, he's very in your face. He's kind of the opposite. He's very disrespectful. He puts tons of money in. He's like completely out of line about it, just trusting that you won't know the answers. And because lots of people aren't used to dealing with that level of aggression, they actually just can't play back at it. They don't know the responses. And playing him over a long period of time, it meant that, okay, I really have to learn how to deal with someone who is just fighting so hard to get so many chips in the pot. And obviously he's not doing it in like a just purely obviously like over bluffing way. It's not like you just flop bottom pair and you call him down and you win, because he knows his image and he was playing it well. So actually trying to have to find proper adjustments to deal with him was it was honestly a really good training exercise. And so now when I start seeing someone being over aggressive in a certain way, it's like I've done the hardest version of it, which was dealing with someone who is over aggressive literally everywhere, and you don't have enough hands to trap to just defend every line. You have to find like other things to, other ways to maneuver around it.
Sure.
So that was like, as someone who I don't think he gets a ton of recognition, but I think if anyone gets a chance to play him heads up and feel that level of pressure, and you go back to playing everyone else and it honestly feels quite relaxing. That comparison.
I definitely know what you mean, but I also have experience with all games. So I play limit games and they're more or less relaxing to me. And then people have these, I can tell you a bit about my own personal approach. It's some part of that. But there are also some caveats. I realize that there's certain psychological tendencies that people have that cross across various games. And one thing I've realized is I have to start, how do you say, stereotyping a bit for those tendencies. And yeah, you have to, it feels like I have to start breaking things, putting things into like less definable subsets. would be the way to say it, or one of the ways. Less tangible lines. I like the idea of what he's doing. I just think there's like different layers of it, and yeah, that's interesting too. It makes me want to take a look at some of the spots he's found. At some point, I mean, there are also certain ways in which to approach other opponents based on their own tendencies. Like, for example, there's a player that you've played against that I will not name because I don't really feel like shafting him too hard, but he has the tendency to, if you find a leak within that session, you just blast that leak because he's not going to adjust. But that's not true about everybody else. And he's like one of the best in the world, or at least he used to be. That's what I remember from playing against him. He just would like have his fucking game plan, and then he would just stick to it. And if you found some problem in his game plan, he was fucked.
Right, yeah.
For a long time, like really a long time, until he like went back and did a session review. Maybe you can figure out who that is. I don't want to tell you.
I actually have some ideas, but I don't want to say either. But there are some names which come to mind pretty quickly.
Sure. So are there any other guys that you've done a deep dive on people? I want to throw a little, I want to go into the Twilight Zone for a second, by the way. But go ahead if you know any others, especially in this challenge.
Yeah. So recently, at least, I've been playing a fair bit against Davey. And Davey's just so interesting to play because there's a constant war going on of him trying to just stop you seeing rivers. Like it's just really hard to get to the river against Davey. And so that's been really interesting, just going over all of these hands and working out how to play back against everything. Like there was a hand where I think he 3-bet the flop and then he barrels the turn, I shove the turn, and I'm bluffing with second pair, and he called third pair.
What? Like, what hand is this? What the fuck?
So it was a single raise pot heads up. It was Jack 8-4, I believe, with a flush draw.
Is it heads up?
Check raise. So yeah, heads up.
Okay.
I check raised the flop. With he 3-bets with, I think he has 5-4. I want to say I have ace.
Okay, that's interesting, but okay, I'm not really sold on this 3-betting the flop thing, but okay.
Yeah, but that's his whole thing, is that he assumes that no one else has studied it.
Oh, so I've tried such approaches. I looked into it, but I want to add there's a certain layer to that, because while that's a good idea, you have to look at the EV of these like little pocket, how do you say, these diverges in game theory, the change of what you actually lose at EV, and also how difficult it actually is to play against, on top of like some likelihoods of what people will do. It's not particularly easy to master that, but yeah, I do like that idea against like top quality opponents. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think what he's going for is the fact that because he gets into these spots so often, he's just going to play them at a much higher fluency and be more comfortable adjusting in them than you are.
Sure.
So then he's happy to get really out of line and make these very big adjustments in them to try and own you. But yeah, I think the turn was like a 3 or something. Yeah, a 3 or a deuce. I check, he barrels, and then I just rip it in. And he tanks for ages and calls off, and I have I have the ace-8 versus his 5-4, so I win a pretty big pot with my second pair. So yeah, I mean, he did have the read that I was bluffing, but yeah, this is why it's so interesting with him trying to get into these spots and trying to think about okay, well, there's various problems. If you're too passive in these spots, obviously he's going to realize way too much equity, and that's a problem. But if you're aggressive and you pick your aggression poorly, he's really prepared to get out of line to play back against it. So yeah, it's a real fight for your life against Davey. Every time you get into these lines, like stacks get in really, really fast. It's so much
Yeah,
fun to play. I think
that's
he's
interesting. Yeah,
yeah,
I've
he's the
never
most
heard of
fun
this.
player to play in my opinion. I'd say it's kind of between him and Flushy. Flushy's fun in a different way. Flushy is very interesting because the pot will be like 5 big blinds and then suddenly you're all in on the river. So it's kind of the opposite of Davey, whereas Davey, the money gets in super fast. Flushy, you think you're in a chill spot, and then suddenly he's all in, and you like, okay, I have to deal with this like 10x, 20x pot overbet.
Planet Flushy's changed. I broke like stone even against Flushy over the longest sample.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been around for quite a while, right? He's been like,
I think I was like within 2 buy-ins of him, one way or the other. Maybe he's got something to say about that. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying that. Yeah, those guys are so interesting to play because they have these spots where they're willing to get so out of line. I mean, I've been playing a bit against liners recently, and don't get me wrong, it's still fun, but we're a lot more bounded. If you know, there's a lot less insane hands, I think, which happen between us. It's a lot more sensible poker going on and like things getting back and forth.
Boring.
And trying to
fuck that.
yeah, we were trying to push our small edges, but then when I'm against Davey and Flushy, it feels like every single session there are a bunch of pots where we were both going for each other's throat completely. It's not, it's not to say that the massive overbets don't happen against liners or whatever, but it's just everything feels a lot more sensible.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, that's very interesting, especially how that can be. Well, yeah, it depends. It reminds me of how fighting ends up working. I know you were talking a bit about people who have defensive styles. Some people, and I've noticed that some people really focus on not being exploited, and some people focus on going at each other's throats. But the ones that go at each other's throats are a lot more exciting, in my opinion. It's like, fuck, I just sit there and just check just not put any money in and make sure that I'm balanced all the time. I might lose my mind.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like I'm playing a certain player and their whole plan is they're gonna play a boring enough game style that like I have a 5 BB win rate, but I'll just get bored and punt. And like that's what they're counting on. I mean, I'm sure they haven't thought that through as their explicit game plan, but there are some people who I feel like that's how they're trying to make it work.
I mean, I guess that's an edge until you just sit there and think, fuck, you like barely beating this guy. It's not worth your time. It's hardly you don't get polar responses. That's
I play solidly out of spite.
If you happen to play some live poker, you got to know what the rake is. You got to know what realistic win rates are. You got to know this kind of stuff. Speaking of which, on the Jungleverse, we provide many resources to help many of you up-and-coming players in order to avoid many pitfalls that many people play. Also to avoid getting cheating. We provide some details of what to look out for. We have a map of what the best online sites are to play at and why, and what kind of games you're looking for. If you want to try your luck and try to strike it rich, playing tournaments, why not? The math's a bit against you. We have the resources for that too.